I'm John Stark from ActingMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is a review of Field of Dreams. It's the 35th anniversary. It's a second look. Um, it does currently have audio description on Netflix, and this is not the first time I've recorded a review for this within the last like 48 hours. I actually watched this. I'm dropping this on a Tuesday. I watched this on a Sunday. It's very weird how this worked out. I just happened to watch it. I noticed it had audio description on Netflix. It happened to be sort of in an anniversary year, and I watched it. And I sat down and I had a review planned out where I wanted to talk about the field, sort of like the legacy of the film, the fact that we still have the Field of Dreams games, that people like the fact that we were still doing that, like baseball teams were going out to Iowa to have this Field of Dreams game, like sort of the legacy of this film left behind. It's kind of amazing. The classic of it all, like does it still hold up like 35 years later? All that stuff. And then on Monday, James Earl Jones died, and I the resonance of that and the fact that it's like, man, I just saw him in this. Like, it's so weird because it's like I could have picked any film. I could have picked any film at all to watch that day, but I happened to look at Netflix and Field Dreams there and had an audio description out. And because I've been doing all these anniversary reviews this year, second looks with films that have audio description, it met all the requirements at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch Field of Dreams. And it's for a film that's all about like whispering all of that, like, if you build it, he will come, uh and I remember thinking at the time, I was like, oh man, it's so, yeah, this Burt Lancaster's in this. Yeah, that's crazy. What was this, like his final film? And I was thinking about sort of like the legacy that Burt Lancaster left behind, and getting into that. And I wasn't really thinking about James Earl Jones. I wasn't really thinking, yeah, he's up there in age. We're probably going to lose him soon. Um, and then he did, and rest in peace. So I don't know if this is so much a review anymore of Field of Dreams as it is an opportunity to also talk about James Earl Jones, and the fact that I literally just watched a performance of his. Sure, the film is about, it stars Kevin Costner. It's about baseball. It's about so many things, based on a book, Shoeless Joe. And when I watched this as an adult, I hate feeling old. God, I feel so old. I've mentioned this in a couple videos now, videos I haven't even published yet, but I look at my demographics, like the YouTube. I don't even let you know like what age ranges you appeal to. Apparently, I appeal to no one under the age of 35. It's just so depressing. I'm wearing like a Toon Squad shirt today. I have a black baseball cap on backwards. Like I should look. I have a lip ring. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I should appeal to a slightly younger audience. Maybe at least one block down. I know the teens aren't like, yeah, we get this guy. He totally understands us. But how do I not appeal younger at all? Anyway, Kevin Costner's character is 36, which is younger than I am. It made me feel so old. I was like, this dude has a family and like a kid and a farm, and he builds a baseball field. And I was like, I feel so inadequate. I had so many feelings, but I also had those feelings. When I remember I started like rewatching Frasier, basically like from the beginning, and like at when I started doing that, there was one point where he said what his age was, and it was like the same age I was, and I was like, oh my god, I'm the same age as Frasier right now. Like what? Uh, anyway, so like The midlife crisis comes for you whether you're looking for it or not. It's just like it throws things at you where you're like, "You're telling me that when I was growing up watching that this is I'm living my Frasier life right now? That I'm 5 years past my field of dreams?" Like, well, I needed to know this ahead of time that these were the benchmarks. I should have already built my baseball field, uh, and played with Shoeless Joe. So, yeah, this is, of course, known for and, just some good performances. Obviously, Kevin Costner, I if you have a Western or a baseball movie and he says no to it, there's something wrong with your movie because he'll basically sign up for anything if he gets to ride a horse or play ball. Like, those are the 2 things he wants to do most in this world. The large part of his career centers around being able to do one of those 2 things. So, here he's paying tribute to sort of the, legends of past, and we get a lot of talk about the White Sox. This is around the same time 8 Men Out came out as a film, so people who didn't know about the White Sox scandal definitely learned a lot between 8 Men Out and Field of Dreams. There's a double feature for you. Um, and they talk a little bit about Shoeless Joe, and Kevin Costner makes the case that Shoeless Joe wasn't a part of that because even though he took the money, uh, like, like he was supposed to, he still played. Like, his stats were still really high, so nobody could accuse him of throwing the game because he obviously didn't, because he played like his best. As a part of the argument here. And then he goes out in the cornfield and he hears the most misquoted quote in film history. If you build it, he will come. And I don't understand how we got to if they build it, they will come. And it honestly, it's been a while since I've seen Field of Dreams, and I don't understand how, because for a while I can't remember where I heard it, and then somebody was like, that's one of the most misquoted. And I was like, oh, is it? Oh, it's if you build it, he will come. They say it like 27 times in this film. Like, it's never they. I don't know how we got to they. I don't know who that person was that managed to, like, convince everybody that it was if you build it, they will come, because there's no they ever in this film. It's always he will come. And then the voice whispers like other things to him, like, ease his pain, go the distance. I am on my way. I can go the distance. Um, so ease his pain ends up being his indication that he's supposed to go meet James Earl Jones. He reaches this conclusion because he and his wife have the same dream, but also, very interestingly, at the same time, it's weird. I guess fate knew that there was going to be some Karen back in the day that was going to be trying to ban this book. And it's weird, 1989, where you still, people have been trying to ban books forever. Jesus Christ, man, we've just been trying to get bans out of, like, books out of fucking, like, everything. And just years. We just keep reaching back, and there's always somebody's trying to ban books. Stop it. Stop trying to ban. One of the you find these things to be un-American, but one of the greatest things about being an American is the fact that this book exists in this country. That is what makes America great. That is the free speech, the First Amendment that you stand up for, that allows you to stand there and argue against this book, is the whole reason why that book should exist. That's the answer to every banned book question. You should celebrate the fact that there's a book that you don't like, that you disagree with, and it is available. Because that is what makes America America, and that is what keeps us different from other countries. Why is this so hard to understand? Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so he goes and picks up James Earl Jones through sort of a hilarious situation where, he eventually finds this dude's apartment and goes upstairs, and he used to be a writer, and now he makes video games for kids. It's a weird job transition, but we don't really go into it that much. It's just a thing that they've given him that they say he does now. And Kevin Costner goes up and he's like, I know this is a crazy story, but I gotta tell it to you. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to take you to a baseball game. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I mean, like eventually, like they go and they do things. It's funny because the film feels like he reaches all these conclusions really quickly, and you get this film just doesn't waste time. Like I feel like the criticisms people would have for this film are they're like, wow, yeah, he just knows, they just know, they just figure it out, and it's just wow, it's amazing how they. It's like, what did you want, a 2.5 hour movie? Like it was an hour 45. Like, yeah, I suppose he could ruminate more, but then somebody would bitch about the runtime. They'd be like, "Oh, this is a 2.5 hour movie. It's really long." So, I don't know what the happy medium here is, but they do move pretty quickly through the film. Pretty much something happens, and they're like, "Well, I need to do this now. Well, this is my quest." I mean, he doesn't sit there and go, well, "I don't know. What does this mean? What is the cipher for this? Ah, I don't know." It just like they seem to know immediately what everything is and figure everything out. And this movie just moves beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat, and it doesn't waste time. It just doesn't play around. It doesn't sit and ruminate. It doesn't sit and ask itself like hard life questions and be like, what does this all mean? What are the deep? No, it just gets through it. And almost like it's on speed. Like like somebody was like afraid to make a longer movie, and they were like, "What is the shortest version of Field of Dreams we could make?" And it was this version, you know. And I think I think that's part of the reason why it works, is because it's there's a difference between this being like a best picture contender and also just being a really good film that hits you in the feels, because this film has enough setup and build up so that the scenes that need to resonate, and the moments where it wants you to feel something, you feel something. It worked on me. I hadn't seen Field of Dreams in years, but there's certain scenes in here where you're like, oh my god, wow. And it's like I didn't need an extra 30 minutes of film with like them thinking hard about things that would have, maybe given a little bit more, and it made it a little bit harder, and maybe made it feel a little bit like, well, it took him a minute to get there, a little bit more realistic than immediate. I mean, this baseball field goes up real fast. He builds a baseball field like almost overnight, like so. Um, but then you wouldn't get to these things, and James Earl Jones, he just kind of shows up, and people are like, yeah, he's here. They don't have like deep thoughts about it. They don't have like pull people aside for conversation. Like, why is he here? Why did you, like, what does it all mean? What does everything mean? Like Field of Dreams nowadays would be like a 3 hour movie. Like somebody would turn it in. They'd be like, oh, we have to have these. We have to talk. We have to have lots of time. You can't just cut to it. You just can't cut to the chase like that. You just gotta. But you can, because this film's doing it, and it's classic. It's worked. For a lot of people, this stood the test of time. Is it because it's a great film? I don't know. Because I don't know that it's a great film, but it's a film that hits you regardless. Sort of like The Notebook. I don't know that The Notebook as a film is the best film I've ever seen, but it absolutely moved me. The work that Jenna Rollins and James Garner did was fantastic, and yeah, it's emotionally manipulative, but it works. So cinema, it can have a wide variety of things, and not everything is trying to win an Oscar. Sometimes films are just trying to move you or speak to you on a personal level, or remind you of something, or bring back that feeling, or relate to you, teach you something. I mean, like there's so many different things that film's trying to do, and I think this is a blend of nostalgia along with giving you that those feelings and emotions and everything. I think this is for people who like baseball just as much as it is for people who don't, because there's stuff here that'll resonate either way. So I think it's just a great film, and to think about Burt Lancaster being in this film, you know, and the fact that these actors got to work with Burt Lancaster in 1989. I mean, towards the end of his career like that is just it's cool. I mean, it's cool that this is like I don't know if it's his last role, but it's definitely certainly at the end of his it's certainly like next to last for him. Um, you got James Earl Jones, who obviously he went on to do things because after this he still has not just voice work either. He has like The Sandlot and some other films to do that he did, you know, The Grass Harp and stuff like that in the 90s. So uh, I hope he's remembered for more than the voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa. But of course, those are iconic because those films are iconic. They made so much money at the box office. But Field of Dreams, in a weird way, is also iconic. It has become this thing that has lived on because people still go to a baseball field in Iowa and still play baseball games. And James Earl Jones was a part of that. James Earl Jones was part of so many different things. So many the CNN. This is CNN. Uh, he has one of those voices that I know the people who use AI were dying to get hold of. I don't know if he sold away the rights to his voice. I don't know if his family will, but man, I hope you hold out for a lot because somebody will pay you an ungodly amount of money to be able to use his voice like that uh, in anything, the James Earl Jones voice. Because it's like there is no other voice that hits with such reverence. But it's not just a voice; he's a damn good actor, and I'm so glad I got to see a performance of his without. Sometimes when Matthew Perry died, he died, and then I watched Fools Rush In, and I thought about that the whole time. I was thinking about his death, but here I wasn't thinking about it. I just sat and I watched James Earl Jones, and then I sat down and I reviewed it. And I was going to talk about like a whole different set of things and a whole different experience. And I didn't post that review immediately because I didn't need to. And then he passed, and now I'm redoing it and putting it out. So um, he will be missed. A legendary actor, and I think about it's when I saw it when I saw like the little push notifications popping up on my phone. I was thinking about that moment where he towards the end of this film, um, with the corn stalks the ghosts keep walking off into, right, and James Earl Jones gets invited. It's giving me chills right now. He gets invited in the corn stalks, and you know we had heard "Ease His Pain," right, and he gets to go with the baseball team, and Kevin Costner is like, "Oh, well, I want to go. I want to see what's out there," and they're like, "It's not your time," and it's like it's almost like Kevin doesn't get what's happening, you know, because the film doesn't finish with like James Earl Jones coming back and being like, "Wow, you should have seen what was in the stocks." It was just it's like you know what's happening. He's transitioning. And it's like seeing that, and then Monday, I just I don't know. It's so it hit me with such reverence. I should say, just because I always mention the audio description track, it's phenomenal for this film. Such a great audio description track. Uh, there are some people who I'll tell you why I loved it. This film tells you who everybody is without the predication of you having to wait for their name to be said, which sometimes is really obnoxious. So, yeah. So Shoeless Joe is Shoeless Joe, like right off the bat. Like they just, uh, a lot of these people they just get named straight up, and the only time that it really holds back is towards the end with his father. It doesn't immediately go, "Dad," you know, like it lets you kind of like sit in that moment. It's like it almost knows, and that is the thing is like if you can trust a writer to know, like what is the one time where you don't want to say the name right away? You know, what is the one time where you want to hold it back, even for just a second, and do a description and then do the person. you know? What is that time? And it does that. It does it a couple times, and it does it in the times where it's needed, and the rest of the time, it just doesn't fuck around. So it just gives you the names, and I love that, because it gives you both. It gives what people are worried about, where it's like, "Well, don't use the name until it blah, 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 blah." That's in here, but also in the places where it doesn't matter, it makes it so much easier to just track the characters. So it's like the name's not a secret, it's not a twist, it's not a surprise, it's just what their name is, it's who they are. So anyway, yeah, I love the audio description track for this. So I'm really happy it's on Netflix. And if you're looking for a James Earl Jones movie to watch now that actually physically has James Earl Jones in it, um, there are a bunch of films you could watch, but I would recommend Field of Dreams. I don't think there's anything quite like his final moments in this film that speak to what just happened. He finally got invited to the corn stalks, and he will be missed. I think about that quote in Lion King, where he's telling Simba, you know, sometime the sun will set on my time here on Earth, and in Lion King it comes a lot sooner. We never really know when that time is going to come for anybody, but his sunset. So rest in peace, James. And I'm going to give Field of Dreams an A. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.